Welcome back. Now we're going to take a look at the OLBG Mares Hurdle at Cheltenham. Every year it's normally easy to find the winner. Well, it has been for the last 6 years in Crevega. Much harder this year, and we're going to take a look at all the protagonists right now. And one of those is Willie Mullin's Charge, Annie Power, 10 to 11. Not seen since May of Punchestown last year, and the Mares champion over there, I think, went on 1 to 4, 1 to 5, after coming second to more of that. Where are we with Annie Power?
Well, this is the million-dollar question.
Let's be controversial.
You know, where are we with Annie Power? We haven't seen the horse, as you said, for 311 days. And as I said at the beginning of the show, is that let's not get too carried away with the excitement and assuming that horse come back to the best. We've seen Sprinter Sacre didn't quite come back to his best. Sada Gouji had a fall on its first time back and has since proven. This horse has got to come back to its very best. And on its very best form, in this race, it's got an entry for the World Hurdle. This is the right race for me. I think that'd be a bad mistake going for a World Hurdle. I think this horse can perform to higher marks over 2.5, the highest mark being 173, but over 3 miles, I've only got it 166. It's a big risk, isn't it, backing a horse after all that time off. Clearly has the class, a Grade 1 winner. It went round and obviously was second to more than that in last year's World Hurdle at Cheltenham. More of that, we haven't really seen the proof of this season. At Fisher's Cross, we've seen plenty of proof, and that hasn't worked out too well. Many will look at the form of Zarkanda. That was before the application of blinkers on Zarkanda. I think Zarkanda's improved an awful lot. Then you go to Big Bucks. Now, Big Bucks was obviously on a decline when he come back. So I'm not suggesting it in any way it was a real weak World Hurdle, but I just think Annie Power falls in between distance, and I think this mare's race would be, of the two, would be more suitable. And I'm pretty sure that they will come for this race.
And out of all the shorties, this is probably the one that has the most question marks.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I'd imagine these bookmakers will take this on the day at these kind of prices. I mean, it's 10 to 11.
11 wins from 12, though, Matt.
Absolutely. You can't knock that. But you know, they are horses. You know, these are horses. There's something in me that tells me all isn't right with this. Now, I'm going to say a quote. We've got a quote in the Racing Post today, and I quote, although we've got used to sending Crevega to the festival without a run, we used to have her ready for the race well before the festival. It's been difficult with Annie Power, as she's missed out all of December due to a setback, so we're making up for lost time. Now, that doesn't ring to me as I want to be going in and 10 to 11. That Crevega was always trained for this race. Annie Power was a very different horse, as he's pointed out in his quote. I've just got this feeling, if she comes on her A game over 2.5 miles, which she's shown before when she was bolting up at Doncaster against Dolly Carton, likes like that, and look, I think she'll probably win, and she'll probably win well, but it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? And I think this opens it up for a nice each-way play in the race. OK.
The other one that's so well up at the top of the market is Aura de Restreval, run about the 4 to 1 mark. 5 lengths behind Mischievous Millie. What do you think about this?
Yeah, last run at Sandown, which was on...
Sorry, beat Mischievous Millie 5 lengths, so not behind.
Beat it 5 1/4 lengths over 2.5 miles on what was pretty grand. What it proves at Sandown is that she definitely gets the 2.5 mile, doesn't she? Very classy filly. I've got my own theory about her. I think even though she's been performing to, you know, nice marks and marks of likes of 153 when behind Irvine in a fight in 5th, which was, I've got a feeling, you know, a pretty weak Grade 1 for standard. I've got a feeling that she might be better on better ground, and I think her performance standout is at the beginning of this season at Wetherby, which was beating Emily Gray 10 lengths. Admittedly, Emily Gray, you know, is certainly a better horse over 2.5. But you could say the same thing about Aura de Restreval, who's proved itself at the 2 miles, probably a little bit on the sharp side. But, you know, Emily Gray comes and ties in nicely to Glens Melody, 2 lengths behind Glens Melody. So when you look at that piece of form, I know Emily Gray made a mistake at the last and Richard Johnson accepted it. I've just got this feeling, I've got her like on a mark of 153 at the moment, but I've just got a feeling that she's, out of all we're going to talk about, I think she might improve enormously for
But on the line of Mischievous Millie, Glens Melody is also run up against Mischievous Millie. Your de Restreval had £8 and a beating. Yeah. So on that line of form, Glens Melody's got something to find with the John Quinn mare.
Absolutely. That piece of form at Sandown, it's got to be said, has not worked out. I mean, it proved that she stayed. I don't think we've seen her to her best effect on ground that she's coped with. Can you remember the last season when she came looming? She got beat on very soft ground. I remember it. I think it was Haydock. She looked like she was going to go past, and I thought then at the day she doesn't really want ground as bad as that. This particular piece of form I'm talking about last time hasn't worked out through Dark Spirit or mischievous Millie, but I do just keep on going back to this bit of form at Wetherby when beating Emily Gray. She looked really good that day. I mean, she hit the line, you know, absolutely full of running, and she could be very, very interesting. I know John Quinn's always marked her up as a better horse than the likes of Cockney Sparrow, which is interesting in itself, and she's a big player, I think, at Cheltenham.
Glens Melody is, I believe, third in the betting. Finished 3 1/4 lengths third last year, or second, I think, behind Quivega. And on the run-in, pretty much toe for toe. And then Quevega's class just saw her get there at the end. This is a horse, actually, that I saw some quotes from Willie Mullins. He was going to retire the horse 2013-14 season. Said, we're going to not run them anymore. But it continues with Glens Melody, and she was impressive last time as well. Yeah,
she was impressive at Warwick. She was 8 to 13. Paul Townsend did the steering. Again, Emily Gray was the subject in second, admittedly over a trip. I think Emily McGray would prefer 2 mile 5 soft ground. Emily Gray looks to me like a horse that might well have some headgear soon, doesn't do an awful lot. Glens Melody, it won really, really easily. The only thing with Glens Melody I've noticed, it can put in the odd mistake. Nothing too alarming.
Funny enough, I've got a point there, pecking at the last.
Yeah,
twice.
She picked up the last and then she blundered at Warwick quite bad. I think it was 2 out. And I don't know why she does it, whether it's a concentration thing.
Done it at Nace as well.
Yeah, but she
against Kitten Rock.
Yeah, she won't want to be doing that at championship pace around Cheltenham. But it is a, you know, it is a slight concern. I mean, she's 6 to 1. Do I think it represents much value in this race? I think there's other horses of interest at bigger price. But let's just talk about her run before that. In January, Kitten Rock won that race, who of course went on to, you know, bolt up in a Grade 2, was obviously around the 33 to 1 mark. I don't think that's too bad. King of the Picks in third, who obviously ties in with the new one and other horses. So on my rating from Glens Melody, I've actually rated it really high. I think she's one that looks progressive, as a lot of these mares are. I think these trainers leave a lot to work on. It's all, you know, it's all steady Eddie with them all. And I've got Glens Melody 166, and that's a high mark. And I think this year's, as we go through, I'm just going to keep on saying that I think there's a real strong renewal of this race.
Well, it'd be quite interesting when we do see those ratings a little bit later on, because when I saw them, I was pretty gobsmacked. Polly Peacham, who fell at the last, I think, last time we saw her.
Pulled up, actually.
Pulled up. It actually fell at the last, didn't it? And then they looked after the horse.
Yeah.
But before that was very impressive. I mean, carrying 11 stone 12 in beating Blue Buttons at Wincanton, who was only carrying 10.5. That was very impressive. It was after a break. This is one I like. But your views on Polly Peacham?
Yeah, certainly 12 to 1 looks a nice enough price. We've got someone on the phone from in a minute, so hopefully
Dean Goddard from
Goddard. Sorry,
OLBG.
Dean, I forgot. Dean's going to be on the phone. He was actually at Nicky Henderson's yesterday, so perhaps he can give us some insight. She is very interesting. We haven't seen her since she was pulled up after, like you said, which was a bad mistake. But God, wasn't she impressive at Wincanton earlier in the season, Class 2, lump top weight 11-12. I know it went down as winning only 3 lengths, but it was impressive. My concern with her, I was very excited about it yesterday, and then it was when I watched her run at Cheltenham in April that concerns me.
Was she cleared away from the rest of the field, you mean?
Yeah, it was on the new course. You know, let's say this race is going to be run on the old course, which is the new course at Cheltenham is a lot stiffer. Now, this is a 2.5 mile race on what is going to be less demanding. If you stop the take coming down to the last over 2.5, the game's not over, but she sprinted clear. I think she's going to get too far behind. And when I went inspecting some of her other races, in a listed hurdle, Southfield Theatre beat her. Now, that horse stays, and I thought, oh, yeah, if you can't beat that horse at 2 mile 6 for a horse that kind of stays, didn't have the speed. My concern with Polly Peacham, even at championship pace, and believe me, I was really interested until that. I've got a mark of 158 with a plus next to it. I think this trip on this course is going to be too sharp.
Okay, that doesn't stop me from backing it though. Cowell's Spirit was another one. Now I noticed a tendency to jump to the right Again, maybe a concentration thing. Robert Walford has got a terrific mare, though. What are your thoughts on Camel Spirit?
Yeah, it was really a war of attrition last time. It was the race of bit of a puzzle was in. Coward Spirit looked bit of a puzzle went clear, didn't it? Coming down to down to the last, but then it was all a bit of a puzzle idling, and Coward Spirit coming back. I'm a little bit concerned. That was all at 3 mile form. You know, this is coming back in trip. The likelihood is it's going to be better ground, and I think that's my concern. You've just pointed out there, jumped out to the right. I got a feeling this horse might want some dig in the ground, and if it was fast conditions, I would be concerned. And not only that, I think on the form book, she's got a little bit to find, and I think the 20-1 is probably about
Do
right.
we write that form off when she beat Polly Peacham as if Polly Peacham just had an off day that day?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's certainly up to the point, up to that mistake, it certainly didn't look like Polly Peacham, and no, I think, you know, been beat by the likes of Highland Retreat herself, who is a very, very good mare, but I don't think she's proven herself ever to be up to what's going to be needed to win this. So I think the 21's about right, and I think she's probably going to struggle.
Okay, well David Stanage, you've been waiting for this moment. You tweeted in earlier on about Pirates Queen. We're going to talk about Pirates Queen now. A decent ground, I think, Alan King's mare would require, but I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it's very, you know, interesting. A bit of the puzzle form line. This was over 2.5 miles, which was on a heavy ground, and looked like, you know, Dennis O'Regan didn't want to let her go it by the seams of it.
Did he not want to let it go, or was it a fact that he knew the way bit of a puzzle was, in as much that, you know, he could go there and make it look a bit easier? Because once he did
scrap,
he didn't want to scrap.
Yeah.
But then once he did go, I mean, he didn't. At one point, it looked like, look, you're going to do the old cheeky sort of pat-headery look over your shoulder. He didn't know, because bit of puzzle went as well, didn't she? So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, did he try to make it look more comfortable, and was it as comfortable in the end as maybe the eye, you know? Or did
the bit of a puzzle's gone on to prove that she stays 3 miles. So on 2 mile half on heavy ground, you know, you weren't going to, in any ways, you weren't going to outstay the horse. And you know, I agree. I'm not sure whether things where he didn't want to get in a battle, whether it's better ground, or whether he knew, or whether the connections would have said, you know, don't get there too soon. Perhaps a little bit flattering to deceive. But the form of the race has actually worked out really well. Ron's Dream was back in third, 40-1. He went on at Newbury to win, you know, convincingly, and then went on to be second in a listed race. So that form has got more substance. More is needed for this race. There's no doubt about that. I mean, but the horse has been improving for Alan King all year round, but was put in its place by Black Leon in the Persian War. Again, another step forward is needed. I've got a mark of 149, which again falls quite short. But 25-1, I wouldn't, you know, there'd be worse prize horses in this race. I think 25-1 is very, very fair and should be some good value for you. And by King's Theatre, she promises to not mind some better ground. And
finally, what about bit of a puzzle?
Bit of a puzzle. She's got the scope. She's got the scope, and she of a colt. She of all of these runnings. When I watch her visually, I think, yeah, blimey, you got some substance about you. I think she's going to have a career. I think she's got some longevity. I think maybe you can mark up that performance last time, as I said, between Coward Spirit, and I think it was idling, because it did look like a bit of a puzzle was stopping and Coward Spirit was going to go past, but actually battled on back to the line. Problem again is it's over 3 miles, and when I saw that race back at Haydock, which was on bad ground, I just wonder whether she's going to have the necessary speed. But again, I do think she's overpriced. I think this form at Ascot is a little bit better than people actually think it is.
Yeah, I think you could be right, because I was quite impressed with the fact that bit of a puzzle in both her runs, once challenged, found a bit more than you expected. We're going to take a look at the ratings now. We've got a couple of minutes, so we're going to get the ratings on the ball. There you are. That is the Value Raters class act for this year's contenders for the OLBG Mares Hurdle. They are your ratings. Explain them, Matt. You haven't got very long, though.
No, okay. We've got Annie Power. Before everyone starts throwing things at the TV or writing on some things on YouTube. Now, Annie Power hasn't been out this season. That's the last mark I gave at Annie Power, which was at Cheltenham of 166. That was over 3 miles. Now, her last run I have over this distance was 173, but as I keep on saying on this show, that is very irrelevant at the moment. We haven't seen her this year. So what I'm suggesting is Annie Power is better over this trip than she would be a World Hurdle trip. Glens Melody is the progressive horse for me who's improved enormously. Met Annie Power some time ago for a 12-length beat, and I believe she's improved enormously from then. And if you look back through a handicap mark, I think, you know, the handicapper will agree with me on that too. Polly Peacham next in now, 158, which is quite a gulf really between them when we're looking at ratings. But I have got that with a P next to it, Polly Peacham. And then we've got Carol Spirit 154, Unique 154, Oriel Destravel 153. Again, I could see that Oriel Destravel, that's on what she's done so far, really on soft ground. I could see that horse improving again for better ground, and the Pirates Queen 149. So in a nutshell, the likes of Annie Power and Glens Melody, if they turn up on their A game, the rest are probably playing for place money.
And one we didn't mention, El Unique. Would you say that the race against Polly Peacham was that horse's best run?
Yeah, it was, and I think that might be another case of, you know, needs better ground. I mean, it's not been running very well this year. 20-1, she might be interested. I mean, that 5 lengths with Polly Peacham over a distance, when you watch it back visually and you tie in the collateral formed around then, I mean, was behind Glens Melody. It's got
third in this race last year as well.
Yeah, it was third in this race, and I think the ground might be key for it, but with recent performances, a little bit risky for me.
So, neck on the block.
Yeah, this isn't a race I don't think I'll be getting too involved with. The likes of Bit of a Puzzle and actually the Pirates,
The Pirates Queen.
The Pirates Queen. Around 25 to 1 non-runner, no bet. I think they are the two value selections, but they are simply value. I think they should be probably half the price than that. But it will be a race for me I will enjoy rather than getting involved with.
OK, so the Pirates Queen and Bit of a Puzzle.
For a bit of value.
Yeah, for a bit of value, 25 to 1. We are delighted to say that after the break, we've got Dean Goddard from OLBG who will be on the phone. He's been chatting to a number of trainers, including Nicky Henderson. We'll be back after this short break.